Thank you very much, Mike Carlucci, and welcome everybody. Wally George is here, your fearless leader, with our great new set. We really appreciate it. We have Louis Tasso. Am I saying that right, Louis? Yeah. Finally, I don't have to look down at it and read it. Louis Tasso behind the cameras. In the booth, our program director here at KDOC has lowered himself to come into our booth and direct my show.
It's an honor.
Only kidding. I know it is an honor. It's an honor for me to be on my own show. It really is. Every time I come in here and sit behind my desk, I say, geez, you know, those viewers are really in for something. I'm really great. Once again, we want to say welcome home to Dave Letterman. He's my favorite over Jay Leno. I like Dave Letterman. I shouldn't say that he's my favorite because Jay Leno is a very nice guy. I have a Jay Leno story I can tell you. Do you want to hear it, Johnny?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I was, no, it was more than that, probably about 8 or 9 years ago. No, I don't know. A few years ago, I was in the San Fernando Valley. I lived in the San Fernando Valley in Sherman Oaks for about 30 years. And a few years ago, I was in the San Fernando Valley, and I stopped at this Van Nuys Boulevard newsstand, where everybody goes. A lot of celebrities live in the valley now. They used to live in Beverly Hills and all that, but they moved out of there, and a lot of celebs are in the valley, as is Jay Leno. And he rides around on his motorcycles, on his motorbikes, a lot in the valley. And just as I pulled up to the newsstand and parked my car, right in front of me pulled up Jay Leno on his bike, and he was wearing his Levi's and his boots and and his helmet and everything, and he could barely fit all that hair underneath the helmet. That guy has so much hair, and a jaw to end all jaws. But I got out of my car just as he got off his bike, and I looked at him because I knew. I said, "There's Jay Leno," and he turned around and looked at me, and we both stood there, and nobody said anything. We just kind of stared at each other. And I walked towards him, and he said, "You're not going to yell at me, are you, Wally?" And he really said that. And I said to him, I said, "Jay, do you know what you need on The Tonight Show?" He said, "What?" I said, "You need me." And he said, "Well, don't call us." No, he was very nice to me. He said, "You would make a very interesting guest." Now, interesting is a very unusual word. It could mean anything. But he was very nice to me. But needless to say, the years have passed, and I have not been on the Jay Leno show. I've been on Oprah. I've been on Entertainment Tonight. I've been on Regis. Regis is one of my all-time favorites, too. Great guy. He used to have a show here in Los Angeles called LA Today. And it was in the morning on Channel 7. I think it was on the same time he's on now, on the network, 9 o'clock, but just here in Los Angeles, called LA Today. And I was on that show several times as a guest when he was here in Los Angeles. And Regis is a relic. Anyway, enough of this. Let's get into our serious stuff now. This is interesting, an analysis. Bush gets graphic in descriptions of cruel Iraqi regime. Experts say gory tales of alleged atrocities cement support for war. President George W. Bush is waging battle, as we all know, against Iraq with some very macabre words. He calls the Iraqi government, he calls Saddam murderous, brutal, and cruel. The president has been demonizing Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein for months and months, but recently he has used particularly graphic language to denounce the Iraqi regime. Murderous, brutal, and cruel, which I think those are kind words. At Camp David the other week, Bush told this story. We had reports the other day of a dissident who had his tongue cut out, and it was tied to the stake in the town square. He bled to death. That's how Saddam Hussein retains power. Gee, what a cute guy. Cut out the guy's tongue. Unbelievable. He had his tongue cut out and was tied to the stake in the town square. He bled to death. In a recent radio address, Bush's message included, "We know from human rights groups that dissidents in Iraq are tortured, imprisoned, and sometimes just disappear. Oftentimes we find these prisoners with their hands and their feet cut off, their tongue cut off, their eyes gouged out, and female prisoners are found brutally raped." How much time did you give me? 2 minutes. That's the kind of a guy he is. Mr. Nice Guy. And I'm glad that that is being brought out. He's a madman. He's a true madman. Now, you know what? I get a lot of people who, not a lot, but I get some people who write to me and say, "You never ever say anything nice about Saddam Hussein." Come on, I mean, can't you say anything nice about him? Well, I guess. How about the story about the cutting out of the tongue? That's about as nice as I can get. He said, you're always, I have people always tell me, say, you're always on the same side. You're always conservative. You're always talking about how great our president is. You never ever say anything nice about the Democrats or the liberals or the protesters. Let me tell you why. Because they're all jerks, idiots, morons, and lunatics. These protesters, these liberal Democrats, these anti-war morons who keep talking about our president and our government are idiots. And I will keep on calling them idiots because they've been idiots for practically all their lives, I'm sure. So don't tell me these things. I'll take a little break now. We got We have a guest, and then we have highlights from the past 20 years of my hot seat show. You don't want to miss that, folks. Stay there. I'll be right back.